Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are finally going to discuss 1988 cult classic film Child's Play. This is written by Dan Mancini. It's his original story. Screenplay was made from his story. Subsequent 6 sequels, all because of his original story. Then there's the 2019 remake. Then there's the TV series on Sci-Fi right now. Currently just started its third season, which he is a writer on. It's just the film's been around for what, 35 years, right? 30, what did I say? 88? 35 years. It's so iconic because it hits various different generations, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and it's just really cool how it's just a continuation of a story. It's wonderful, minus the remake, and I love the remake. A lot of people didn't like the remake, but I love the remake because it uses modern tech. What happens if droids go crazy? It's very cool. I appreciate the original film. I haven't seen the film in a very long time. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I remember being scared of it, but I did not appreciate it as much as I do now back then, because now that I'm an adult, quote unquote, I understand the adult humor aspect of it. And this movie is a lot funnier than I remember it to be. It's very quick, hour and 27 minutes long, hour and 28 minutes long, very, very quick. Andy Barclay is this 6-year-old boy, lives in Chicago with his single mother, who works at a jewelry counter at a department store and owns a massive apartment, which would not be a thing in today's current market. But in 88, there were no rules back then. So Andy wants this good guy doll, life size, he's going to be this friend till the end. And with that iconic line that kid delivers perfectly, and that actor plays Andy moving forward in the franchise as well. I think he doesn't do Andy in one film, but he plays an adult Andy throughout. So, getting the doll from a street peddler behind the department store that his mom works at, his mom Karen Barkley works at, his dad passes away. Chucky is a doll, right? He's a good guy doll. But how does Chucky become this evil, sinister person? Well, the spirit of this serial killer, as he's being shot by this police officer in a toy store, is transferred from serial killer into doll. Charles Lee Ray he transfers himself with voodoo magic, of course, into the doll. That way his spirit now possesses the doll. And then now it's a matter of the longer he stays with the doll, then seeks revenge on his partner Eddie and then the cop who killed him, Mike. What happens with the longer he stays in this doll? Well, he's starting to turn human. It's weird. He's starting to bleed now. So he visits his voodoo master in Chicago, who explains that because he's staying with this doll longer than expected, he's turning human. If he's killed in the heart, he's going to die officially. The only way to maintain a human form is to transfer his soul into the body of the first person he told that he was who he was, and then kill that person so he can be reborn. And that happens to be Andy, who's then thrown in a psych ward because they think he's the one who killed his aunt. Things, right? It's so, well, the grown-ups believe the kid, and when the grown-ups actually believe the kid, because then the doll is trying to kill everybody, what happens next? Well, you have to defeat the doll, obviously. You throw it in the fire, and Chucky's staring up at the grate and saying, "Andy, I thought you said you'd be my friend till the end." And then Andy looks down with the match in hand, 6 years old, and says, "This is the end, friend." Drops the match. Chucky's in flames. Bro, it's still so wild seeing this now as opposed to back then when you were a kid. And the psycho references, not psycho references, what's the film? What am I thinking of? Shining. There we go. The Shining references with, instead of an axe through the door, it's the knife through the door. Chucky stabbing through the door, trying to get his mom. The iconic score at the end, very creepy. I play it every Halloween out front. It's just weird to say. It brings so much warm, fuzzy nostalgia feelings in a comfort kind of way, because it's just what this film does for me. It does this for a lot of people too, I notice. We don't find it scary anymore. We just find it as a comfort horror film. It's not a scary horror film for us anymore. It's just a comfort horror film. You snuggle with your blankie and you're watching the movie and you're like, simpler times back in, 80s, 90s when you were a kid watching this, us as a millennial watching this, we as millennials, we as millennials, whatever the term is, watching this as a kid. And then as a millennial, Rugrats premiered in 1990. So you have red-haired Chucky Finster Rugrats, as well as red-haired Chucky the doll throughout the 90s, causing chaos. It was a pivotal time for red-headed Chuckies back then. It's very neat. It's a great start to a franchise. I also love that this 6-year-old is running around Chicago in 1988 with a doll in the snow. No one's batting an eye. Everybody is to their own. No rules back then. No rules in the 80s. Wonderful kickstart to a franchise, and we've been saving this franchise to talk for quite some time. I've been saving it. We're going to plow through as much as we possibly can. Obviously, the goal is to do spooky horror films during the spooky season, during the Halloween season. So there's 7 total films. We already talked about the remakes. We don't gotta talk about that again. And then there's 2 fully aired 8-episode seasons, 8 and 8, so 16 in total. So it's gonna take a long time in general. And then season 3 is currently premiering, but season 3 is not going to be done before Halloween. So we'll talk about season 3 at a later date. But right now we're going to focus on the 7 main films and the 2 fully aired seasons. So we got 9 Child's Play, 9 Chucky things to talk about. So we can do this on the next review. Mucho mahalo.